We had 1.5 inches for the summer here. We cut our herd in half, and we were going into a La Nina winter, which means we're dry. And it looked dismal. I guess if you're in the cattle business, you're always optimistic. At the end of every drought, there's a rain. I mean, when you think you're really screwed, something happens and it just seemed to never stop raining. We've had 30 inches of rain since July 1st. We went from having very little high standing grass to walking through knee high, and it's a good problem to have. So much of agriculture, or just in life, I suppose, but there's highs and lows. And you try not to get too high at the highest point, and you try not to get too low at the lowest point, and stay in the middle. And you're not gonna quit just because things get tough.
Ian's grandmother had passed away in the year 2000, and really the family needed someone who could come down and run it and be here and be present, or it was gonna be probably broken up and sold. And this place had always meant so much to Ian that it really just seemed like a natural move for us to come down here as soon as he was done with school.
I can see why my grandparents fell in love with it and had a connection to it. They're drawn to this place in one fashion or another. My mom never wanted to sell it. We put conservation easements all over it. It'll be a ranch into perpetuity.
Ian's grandfather was in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II and said he'd never been so cold in his whole life. He wanted to go and move to a place that he would never really have to be cold. Somehow ended up at the crossroads of 82 and 83 and decided to buy a ranch. The Vera Earl is named after Burton's parents, Vera and Earl Beck.
The ranch encompasses most of the Sonoita Valley. We run from the Santa Rita Mountains across the Sonoita Valley and goes up and over the whetstones and to the San Pedro River. And all in all, it's about 200,000 acres.
180 degrees of green, beautiful grass, mountains on both sides. Almost takes your breath away when you come off the top of that hill and drop down into the valley.
You learn to love it as you grow because it becomes something that no one in the city can really experience. If I lived in the city, I would not be who I am today simply because of how I was raised on the ranch.
I didn't really start working with my dad till I was 15. My sister has always loved it. She has always been here and been around, and coming back to it, I think I have a different appreciation for it because it's not something that I was always super involved in. I spent that time working for my dad and learning about the ranch and learning about all of the ranches. It's home, but it's also something that I can come back to and I appreciate in a whole different sense.
Growing up down here and working together, we work together all the time, and Ian with the girls especially. I'm grateful for it, the girls are grateful for it, Ian's grateful for it, and it's nice to have your kids say that they love where they live and wouldn't want to be anywhere else. That kid would sleep at the barn if we let her.
When you learn how to raise an animal, you realize that not everything just sustains itself. The animal needs you to water it, the animal needs you to feed it. People don't realize what goes on behind the scenes of farming and ranching. They don't see the sickness, they don't see having to work 12-hour days just to make sure that your crops or your animals are in the correct spot or correctly cared for. So you learn when you're a rancher's daughter to cherish your food a lot more because you realize that without the hardworking people behind that process, we would have shortages very often.
Ian, as a producer, a cattle rancher, believes in the whole ecosystem and taking care of that. He, I think, once told me one time when we were out riding pastures that, it has to work for everybody, including the frogs and the trees and the cattle and the grass. So we work hand in hand with all of our government agencies here, whether it's U.S. Fish and Game or the Antelope Foundation or Quail Forever, because he does believe that we all have to be able to use the land, and we work as a partnership and as a group together.
Without beef or without certain products from farming, the earth would not be sustainable to people. There are a lot of things farmers and ranchers do to lower their carbon emission and their carbon footprints. There's an ecosystem, and cattle and the grass and the animals are all part of an ecosystem. So taking this certain animal or this certain factor out of our ecosystem completely rearranges it.
We have managed to be fairly successful in managing some big grassland areas with a lot of eyes on us. It's two things. It's trust. There's no BS. You tell them exactly what you do. Tell them why. If you screw up, you admit it. They know every time you're going to do something, it's going to be to your best effort to get it done. And the second one is, if we all somehow concentrate on some commonalities, we can get a lot further with a bunch of stuff. We're not going to agree on 100% of things, but if we can agree on 75, 80%, we can do a ton of good for the systems, you know, the ecosystems that we graze in. And so that's what we concentrate on, being trustworthy and just finding commonalities with people.
We sell our product because we believe in our story. 5 generations of family raising quality beef, facing all the challenges, rising above, but still continuing to market a quality product for consumers across the nation.
Seeing what we're producing and what we're making and seeing our customers' enjoyment of it is awesome. And I never thought I'd be there in agriculture. I mean, everybody involved in agriculture, they put their heart and soul in it. It comes from 100% effort and the heart of tons of people like me and my family and everybody that works on the ranch.